What's up guys, Chigs here from Chigs Tech Reviews. Now, when we talk about flagship killing smartphones, the most notorious name that comes to mind is Xiaomi's Poco range of smartphones. Well, this is the Poco F2 Pro by Xiaomi. It's a new 5G smartphone packed with the power of the Snapdragon 865, liquid cooling, high-res audio, 8K video recording, and lots more. So quick look inside the box. First of all, let's remove that yellow boxed envelope which contains your SIM eject tool, user manuals, and a clear TPU smartphone case. You will then see the smartphone itself with some of the specs noted on the front sticker. Okay, so now I'm getting quite anxious to switch on this phone, but let's contain that excitement and just place it to the side and see what else we get in the box. So lifting up that smartphone tray, underneath you will find a USB Type-C charging cable and also a 30-watt fast charger. So here it is guys, finally in my hands, the Poco F2 Pro smartphone. This is a new flagship device priced at only $499. So under the hood, you get the Snapdragon 865 with 6 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage supporting UFS 3.1. Now there is also an option to pick up the 8 gig model which has LPDDR5 and 256 gigs of internal storage, and do bear in mind there is no SD slot for further expansion. Furthermore, you are looking at a 6.67 inch AMOLED display with a 20:9 aspect ratio, 60Hz refresh rate. That's a Full HD Plus resolution of 1080 by 2400 with 395 pixels per inch. Now the screen looks sharp and bright. Games and movies look stunning, and to further enhance your experience you have support for HDR10+, along with a peak brightness of up to 800 nits and a 5,000,000:1 contrast ratio. So stunning AMOLED display, and I believe the display is by Samsung. Now the Poco F2 Pro is made from a metal frame with an all glass design, and it's protected by Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and on the back. You have a premium look and feel to it with nice rounded edges. The color is called Phantom White, but to describe it, it's more of a ivory white. Now you can also pick this up in cyber grey, electric purple and neon blue. And personally, I'm actually liking this color with that nice glossy finish. So definitely a different color to all the smartphones I've recently played with. Also, this phone is 8.9mm in thickness and weighs 219 grams. So overall, quite comfortable in the hands with a premium design and feel. Now at the bottom of the smartphone you will find your SIM card tray, USB Type-C port, single microphone and single speaker. And closer look at the SIM tray, it's a dual Nano SIM card tray and there is no expansion for microSD. And on the side we have a volume rocker and power button with the power button finished in red. Now at the top of the smartphone we have another single microphone. The ever so popular headphone jack is back. You have a pop-up camera section and an IR blaster. And there is nothing on the other side. Furthermore, you have a 4700 mAh battery supported by 30 watts of quick charge 4, and this phone does not support wireless charging. Now the Poco F2 Pro supports 5G networks. You have IP53 water and dust resistance, so that means it can withstand some light rain, but of course do not drop the phone in water. Now this smartphone is powerful. You can play any game from the Play Store including PUBG, Call of Duty, Fortnite, along with binge watching all of your favorite shows and movies. And to keep the phone running cool, you have a multi-layer liquid cooling system, so heat will be dispersed from both the front and the back of the unit. Now the fingerprint sensor is located in screen, and I really like the animation and haptic feedback you get every time your finger touches the sensor, and it's actually not bad. It's pretty fast at unlocking the smartphone. Now another pleasant surprise is face unlock. Every time the camera pops up it will light up and make an animated sound. The lights and sounds can be customized from settings, and yes, the face unlock is fast and accurate, but that lighting effect will make you want to use face unlock every single time. Now this smartphone has a single speaker, but it's a single smart PA loudspeaker supporting high-res audio, and here is a taste of what it sounds like. So overall, very satisfied with the sound they produce, loud and clear with no distortion, even on max. Now let's talk about the cameras. On the back we have a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel main, 13 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel tele macro and 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now the 64 megapixel main sensor is the Sony IMX686, which is the same sensor we have seen in the recent Redmi K30, Nubia Red Magic and the Mi Note 10 Lite. Now the main sensor is capable of shooting up to 8K video recording, which I can't wait to test out myself. And on the front we have a 20 megapixel pop-up camera capable of shooting 1080p at 30 frames per second. And some of the main highlights of this camera are HDR, night mode, shoot steady video, video bokeh, beautification AI and lots more. Now quick look at the camera app. We have slow motion mode capable of shooting up to 1080p at 960 frames per second. There are also options for 240 frames and 120 frames per second. Now we also have short video followed by video mode. Now you can shoot a maximum resolution of 8K. I believe this is interpolated and there is no image stabilization when shooting 8K. Now in settings, the maximum resolution supported is 4K at 60 frames per second. But it's only when switching down to 4K at 30 frames per second do we actually notice image stabilization working its magic. 2x digital zoom, 6x digital zoom. And here we have ultra steady mode, which locks the resolution to 1080p at 60 frames per second. And I have to say, this is gimbal quality stabilization you have here, but you are limited to 1080p in this mode. Now here we have something quite cool. It's called vlog mode. All you do is select a theme, take a few shots, and the software will automatically combine all shots and create a short vlog with transitions and special effects. And I have to say the results are quite impressive. So still in video mode, you have the option to shoot video macros. So ultra close-up videos, 1080p at 30 frames per second. And that's not all. You also have beauty, filters and video bokeh. So that's what I call a pretty comprehensive video mode. So next up we have photo mode with again lots of options to play with, which include HDR, AI mode, macro lens, beauty and filters. So onto the samples. Here is a 64 megapixel shot with the main sensor, followed by a 13 megapixel ultra wide and a few selfie shots with the 20 megapixel pop-up camera. Now let's switch to the macro lens and get really close to that orange skin. And here is another macro shot of an almond. There is also a dedicated 64 megapixel mode, followed by portrait mode, night mode, panorama, and you also have a pro mode. Now here is a quick look at your pop-up camera effects. So you can select different color LEDs and sounds for the pop-up camera. Now the OS looks pretty good. The smartphone is running Android version 10 with MIUI for Poco on top. The OS feels very snappy in operation, and the Snapdragon 865 will give you a super smooth performance no matter what you're doing on it. Now you do get a bit of bloatware included with the OS, but it was quite easy to just uninstall the apps that you don't want. So overall a great experience for the custom MIUI for Poco. So there you have it guys, that was my hands-on with the Poco F2 Pro. Now if you're looking for the top of the range Snapdragon 865 performance but do not want to spend $800 to $1,000, then the Poco F2 Pro is an outstanding device and a true flagship killer. Now this is what OnePlus used to be known for, but I guess Poco has taken over as the true flagship killer, giving you a flagship performance and a great alternative to any of those top flagship smartphones out there, and the Poco costs only around £400. Now do bear in mind there are some compromises you have to consider. The Poco F2 Pro does not have wireless charging, it doesn't have a micro SD card slot, and there is no proper IP waterproof rating. But apart from that, the Poco F2 Pro has more or less everything else a flagship smartphone has to offer, but you get an additional extra. You get a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now my experience so far has been great. This smartphone is going to be my daily driver for the time being. My SIM card has been inserted. Battery life is pretty good with 30-watt fast charging, meaning 0 to 100 in just 64 minutes. Now, I was able to achieve a full day battery life with heavy usage, playing many hours of games like PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, and lots of binge watching Netflix HD. And thanks to liquid cooling, it meant that I was able to have long gaming sessions without worrying about overheating issues. So if you're also looking for a gaming smartphone, then the Poco F2 Pro is probably the cheapest gaming Snapdragon 865 smartphone you can currently buy. Now, if you're wondering exactly how this smartphone performs when compared to the other flagship devices out there, well then you should check out my top performing smartphone chart of 2020, where you will find the Poco F2 Pro ranked within the top 10 at position 7 with a benchmark score of 569k. Now you can view the full versions of all my charts online at chigstech.com and read them at your leisure. Also, we achieved impressive internal storage speeds, so we're talking about 1.3 gigabytes per second read and 763 megabytes per second write. So bottom line, the Poco F2 Pro is a great affordable flagship device. In fact, it's the cheapest Snapdragon 865 smartphone I have come across so far this year. Also, not forgetting the quad camera setup, which is jam-packed with some great features and modes to play around with. You have support for 5G, blazing fast performance, headphone jack with high-res audio support, and you have a multi-layer heatsink with liquid cooling. Now Poco could have called this the Poco F2 Pro gaming phone, as it performs extremely well for games. I was waiting for my next new Android device, and my choice was between the Black Shark 3 and the Poco F2 Pro. It's a tough choice, as they are both extremely good performing smartphones for the price. Maybe a head-to-head showdown is coming soon. Do smash that like button if that's what you'd like to see. And with that being said, I will leave the links in the description so you guys can check this product out. Meanwhile, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a brilliant day. I'll see you guys in the next one.